Hi, my name is Carol.
Hi, my name is Amira.
Hi, I'm Hazel.
Hello, my name is Balint. I'm from Hungary.
Hi, I'm Reshmi and I grew up in South Africa.
I'm Satish. I'm from India, the second most populated country in the world.
I'm Saliha. This is Oxford Street. There are lots of people here. It's crowded and I love it. I mean, I think it's great.
2000 years ago, at the dawn of the new millennia,
The world's population was around 300 million.
today there are 6.7 billion of us
Every hour, 10,000 new people.
enter the world.
Every year, there are 9
million more people in the world.
By the end of this century,
It is estimated that the world
Population will reach
it's nearly 12 billion.
Let's celebrate that.
and realise that
The more, the merrier.
it's considered beyond question that the world suffers from overpopulation. Who are there too many of? You? Me? My friends? Alarmist scientists and organisations such as the Optimum Population Trust and the World Watch Institute have been advocating the myth that the world is dangerously overpopulated. This is not true and it has never been true.
In the 1970s, Paul Ehrlich wrote The Population Bomb, warning that the level of population growth is unsustainable because the Earth's resources are limited.
He had been repeating this Malthusian argument for years
Because he was sure that things were running out.
and that resources were getting scarcer.
He went so far as to say,
If I were a gambler,
I would take even money
that England will not exist.
in the year 2000.
It is now 2009. The alleged problem of overpopulation surfaces in many contexts: poverty in the developing world, global warming, environmental degradation, international security, and on the list goes. We're told over and again by the advocates of population control policies that the growth of people must be curtailed. In truth, these proclamations are no more than causes in search of an argument. While there are those like me who see human beings as the Earth's richest resource, Paul Ehrlich and his fellow army are profoundly anti-human and would like to cut back on people. In their own words, they even say, by compulsion, if voluntary methods fail. These self-proclaimed human rights activists are quite difficult to take seriously.
Underlying the apocalyptic picture of an overpopulated world is a fundamental contempt for humanity.
All the problems ever cited under the guise of too many people, from food shortage to lack of infrastructure, have no factual basis at all.
These are political problems, not a problem of scarce resources.
It's common for people to look at the developing world and think poverty must be caused by rising populations. This is not only untrue but an outrageous excuse for the lack of development.
Poverty, for example, was still an issue when the population was not growing and infant mortalities were still high.
Our wealth is not determined by how many kids we have, but how well paid a job we can get.
When there's a problem of food production in poor parts of the world, the problems do not stem from having too many mouths to feed. Rather, the problem stems from the fact that too many poor farmers are using backward technology that is more suited to the age of Malthus than the beginning of the 21st century.
Women are often the target of overpopulation concerns. By repackaging population control as reproductive health, something that benefits women, campaigns to control population growth have been made more acceptable to more people. But however they're packaged, these programs' key aims to reduce third world fertility rates. This becomes clear if we look at what is prioritized in the so-called family planning projects funded by international donors and often run by NGOs. Educating women about contraception and child spacing is given a very high priority, as is the distribution of contraceptives. Infertility treatment or IVF programs, on the other hand, are given no resources at all. Women should of course have the right to contraception as and when they need it, as well as infertility treatment, and this should have nothing whatsoever to do with population growth rates. It should be up to women themselves to determine when to have and when not to have children, not donors and NGOs prescribing what they think is suitable for women in the developing world, based on Western prejudice and overpopulation fears.
I'm concerned that the message that the UN's World Population Day seems to be promoting So if the third world populations are reduced, then the number of people suffering will also be reduced. Well, that's a cop-out in terms of eradicating poverty, and it's not even true. If we compare regional population density and regional economic growth, we can see that there is no correlation between the quantity of people living in an area and their quality of life.
A little investigation, in fact, reveals that the greatest progress in man's material condition came precisely during the time that the growth in our numbers was the greatest. The Industrial Revolution brought about not only increase in wealth, but a dramatic lengthening of life expectancy and a fall in infant mortality. In other words, an unprecedented growth in population.
We now live longer, and our numbers are growing daily, and that's worth celebrating.
A map of world population density shows that Europe, India and China have the highest population densities in the world, yet these regions are some of the largest producers of global GDP. The top 10 most densely populated countries also have a higher than average wealth. These include the Vatican City, Bahrain, Malta and Monaco. By comparison, the Democratic Republic of Congo and Somalia feature 185th and 186th on the list, and they're far less densely populated. They're also very poor. It is clear that there is no correlation between population density and the economic security of a country.
Some argue that with growing numbers of people, there will be a shortage of natural resources. There are no natural resources. Resources are not natural, they are man-made. Nature provides numerous raw materials, but it does not come with any instructions on its benefits or if they're any good at all. It takes us, human beings, to invent a use for it and thus make it valuable or into a resource. In the Middle East, the Arabs lived for centuries with oil. However, until man identified a potential use for it and discovered how to turn it into a useful commodity, the oil might as well not have been there.
There are no natural resources in a finite sense, so we can't ever run out. Resources are limited by our imagination.
If we were to think of ways to double the efficiency with which we use oil, it would be equivalent to doubling the supply of oil.
More people means more brain, more development, more resources and more freedom for us all to enjoy.
I can see no reason why there could ever be too many people.
Resources are more abundant and cheaper than ever, as are food and habitable land.
As for space to live, people settlements currently account for less than 3% of the Earth's landmass.
According to one economist, the entire population of the world today could be housed in the state of Texas in single-story, single-family houses with 4 people each and with a typical yard around each home.
In terms of population density, Texas would still be less crowded than Manhattan.
And Manhattan is a pretty good place to live.
A little knowledge about human history shows us that human beings are the Earth's greatest assets, not its greatest threat.
Besides, how it is even possible to see people as having a crippling impact on the Earth before they even exist?
Man is creator and every person is a potential problem solver, not just a consumer of resources. Thus we should expect that more people will solve more problems, make more scientific discoveries, invent more things and have bigger and better lives.
The reason that environmentalism, international security, so-called resource scarcity and fertility rates in the developing world have become big concerns is because there's an underlying outlook that views people, especially too many people, as a problem.
Human beings are seen as greedy, rapacious and destructive.
And the solution apparently is to cut our numbers.
In truth, the fact that 6.8 billion people can live on Earth while living conditions continue, in the main, to improve,
suggests that people are the solution, not the problem.
Counting people, seeing them as a number or a burden on national resources, is profoundly inhuman. What about the elderly people we know and cherish? Are they a burden, or are we privileged to still have them with us? It's not people living longer that has caused a recession, or inadequate services, or even a pension problem. It's our society's failure to grow the cake and to think big. To change this situation, we need to start by recognising what's great about being human and organise society accordingly. That's my message for World Population Day. I'm Hazel, I'm not a number.